Hi everyone, I'm Brian with OBDM PC Audio Labs. Today I'm going to give you a quick overview of how to get started with the new Cakewalk by BandLab software. And I'm just going to show you some of the features in it, how you can get up and running and start recording with it very quickly. And let's dive right into it. So first of all, I did a video on how you can get Cakewalk by BandLab, and you can check out that video, or you can simply go to cakewalk.com or bandlab.com, get the BandLab Assistant, which will allow you to download the new Cakewalk software. Once you have it and you open and run it, you'll be presented with the Get Started page. Get Started will start off with recent projects, and here you can see I have a project that I have worked with previously in Cakewalk. So you can just load your previous projects, or you can create a new project, and you'll notice here under New Project I have a lot of different new project settings, templates I can make use of: basic, 4-track, 16-track, empty project for scoring, guitar amps, and vocals. So those three options available. I also have the option to open an existing project, and that'll open an existing project on my hard drive. I'm going to click on the basic template and go ahead and open that up. First of all, I'm going to show you what you need to do to set up Cakewalk, and that starts off with clicking on the Edit menu and selecting Preferences. And in the Preferences panel, we're going to usually start off under the Audio Devices Setup section. And the first place I like to jump to is Playback and Recording, and this is where I'm going to set the driver mode. The driver mode is important because the driver mode is going to denote how you're going to be recording audio into Cakewalk. Most of you guys out there are probably going to have an ASIO compatible audio interface, ASIO being the fast, low latency driver type that is used with most audio interfaces on Windows. However, if you click on this pull down, you'll notice other options for other audio driver types, and some of these will work with audio devices such as interfaces that you connect to your computer. Some of these are also going to work with built-in audio devices inside of your computer. So usually you'll want to make use of the ASIO audio driver type, but it stands to reason to mention that Wasapi is actually extremely fast and very rock solid on Windows, and it does work directly and really well with Cakewalk, and has in the past in my experience. So that's a great way to go if you maybe don't have access to an ASIO audio interface. This is also where you can set other features for your audio device, and one of the ones a lot of folks ask me a lot about is, why is it that when I have my digital audio workstation open, I can't do things like listen to YouTube in the background and stuff like that? And that's where this box for Suspend Audio Engine when Cakewalk is not in focus is important, because that will allow for your audio engine and device to be shared with other devices on your computer. So sometimes you may want to check that. So you can take a look at these other settings, and then you can dive in and take a look at the other settings for your audio device, such as looking at devices. Devices is where I can enable or disable the inputs and outputs for my audio interface. Driver settings is where I will set the playback timing and recording master, and I can do that by clicking on this pull down menu and selecting the primary audio input and output device and port that I will be using on my audio interface. This is also where you can set the mixing latency and the buffer size. Some audio interfaces will require that you open the ASIO panel for the audio interface to do those changes, such as my audio interface in my PC right now is going to require that I do that, but that is going to differ based on the audio interface that you're using. There's a number of other things that you can take a look at in the preferences, such as setting up your MIDI devices. This is done under MIDI under devices, where you can select the checkbox next to the MIDI input devices that you'd like to make use of. You can also set other MIDI configurations here, such as control surfaces, and use a drum map manager. A lot of folks really like to use Cakewalk because of the fact that it allows you to really easily use a drum map. So if you're interested in using a drum map, you can do that. And then another important section here is under file and folder locations, audio data, and VST settings. VST settings is very important because this is how you're going to be able to make use of virtual instruments inside of Cakewalk, and of course also plugins, third-party plugins. And one of the cool things about Cakewalk by BandLab is that it does support third-party plugins. So if you're looking to make use of third-party plugins, you can do that by setting your VST paths here. You can set multiple paths on your hard drive so you can scan multiple hard drives. You can rescan your plugins. And it's also really cool to mention that there's VST3 migration right here in Cakewalk. So that's a big deal. There's also BitBridge, which allows you to bring third-party plugins that are not 64-bit compatible into your workstation software. This is something a lot of folks ask me about. I see varying degrees of success sometimes with bridging some plugins. It kind of depends on the plugin that you're working with, in all honesty, so you may want to just play around with that a little bit. But there's a lot of really cool features to be able to make use of right here. And then finally, you have the option to take a look at the initialization file, some of the advanced settings for file settings, and then many of the other features such as customizing the display and the theme that you're going to be using in Cakewalk. So a lot of different features that you get access to right here under Preferences. If you change your audio interface settings and you hit Apply, Cakewalk will usually take a moment to reprofile your audio interface and just check some of the settings on it, so you may want to just give it a moment to be able to do that. So that's pretty much all the preferences and settings that you may need to take a look at. Let's go ahead and exit out of this window. The first thing that I'm going to cover here now back in Cakewalk is going to be the top section of Cakewalk. And that's because this top section can actually change depending on what it is that I'm doing with the software and what mode I'm using the software in, and I'll get into that in just a moment. I'm using the basic template right now, and so the basic template gives me access to my tools. And right up here, I've got my option for the Smart tool, which is an incredibly cool feature inside of Cakewalk, which allows me to have my mouse adjust the tool type based on its location in my Arrange section of Cakewalk. I'll get into that in just a moment. I also have my Select tool, Move, Edit, Draw, and Erase. Moving on, I have access to my Snap tools and Snap functions. Then I have my Transport. My Transport is going to give me, of course, access to playback features, recording features, things along those lines. My Now Time, and Now Time is real important because this is going to let me know where my transport locator is currently at. This is also where I can make use of enabling and setting my metronome settings, and I can click on metronome settings. This will actually open the preferences panel again, where I can make metronome settings, and the metronome, of course, is very important for having a click track to be able to play along to. You'll also see the loop functions right here. And then moving over to the right, I have access, quick and easy access to many different features in the software: save, save as, mixer, and etc. When I click each of these will of course engage the function that they are named after. Now, as I say, Cakewalk is real flexible, and the top section will actually change depending on the mode that I select. What do I mean by that? Well, that's where lenses come into play. If I look on the top right-hand corner here of Cakewalk, I'll see this lens pull down, and if I click on that, right now you notice I have Basic selected. Let's see what happens when I click Advanced. Now that I've clicked Advanced, you're going to notice that I have a slew of more features, all of which are available to me immediately by selecting Advanced. And I can adjust these by clicking, dragging, and dropping. And that is because, again, I have the ability to dock each of these different pieces in different ways in the top section here in Cakewalk. Now, the Advanced lens gives me access to the advanced settings that I would make use of in Cakewalk, and you'll notice I've added a whole bunch more features here, such as an expanded transport, a performance meter, and a number of other features here on the right-hand side. And I can switch between different lenses, which allow me again to modify how the software is going to look and behave. If I click on this lens selector, I can navigate to Make Beats. The Make Beats lens is pretty much aptly named for making beats. We'll get into making more use of that in future videos. I have the Mix lens. This is for going directly into just mixing my session and my song. Gives me access to my console immediately, puts the focus on my console, so I can just go into mixing my song. Then I have the option for Record lens. The Record lens focuses very much on giving me access to the console, but has more of a focus on the Arrange section right here, because of course I'm going to be recording and putting my focus on the Arrange section. Now we'll take a look at the Track Inspector. The Track Inspector is just to the left right here of the Arrange section. The Arrange section being this primary section inside of the software. This is where I would see audio, MIDI data I've recorded, and etc. The Inspector lets me take control of those tracks that I'm working with. This is where I'll see the name for the track and can change the name. I'll see the type of track denoted by an icon, which will tell me if I'm making use of a MIDI track, an audio track, and etc. And then I'll see the various controls for that track: mute, solo, record, and input echo. Input echo is going to allow me to be able to listen to the incoming data that's coming into that track. I can also change the view for that track by clicking on this pull-down menu. This is where I can switch back and forth and take a look at automation on that track and other features and functions on the track itself. I can also adjust my automation controls here, such as reading automation, writing automation, being able to freeze the track, and being able to archive the track. And I'll also see an input meter right here as well. Now below this audio track I have a MIDI track, and MIDI tracks are very close to audio tracks, except of course they're going to be used for recording MIDI data, not audio data. But the track inspector is where you're going to have quick and easy access to all of the controls for your track. One of the other standout features in Cakewalk has always been the ability to have quick access to your focused channel strip on the left hand side. So you'll notice as I switch back and forth between these two tracks right now, my channel strip on the left hand side right here is shifting depending on which one I have focused on. So here's my audio track, and I get some different features depending on what I have selected. Primarily you're going to notice that the audio track has access to the Pro channel. And the Pro channel is accessed right here on my channel strip. Pro channel is a quick and easy way to have access to an EQ and also some very in-depth settings for that channel strip, such as being able to click on the folder icon and select a Pro channel setting. When I do that, I'm going to add different modules to my Pro channel, and the Pro channel can be accessed more in depth by clicking right here on the Show Hide Pro Channel tab. This will expand the Pro channel, and you can see right now I have a compressor instantiated and also an equalizer. And this gives me access to all of these different functions inside of the Pro channel. And again, I can click and change what I have loaded here. So now I have a different preset loaded inside of my Pro channel. So there's a lot of different ways to be able to interact with the channel strip. This is great because this allows you to be able to jump back and forth between a channel strip made for guitars versus one made for drums, one made for vocals, and etc. There are two other tabs here, the Track tab, which gives me information on the track, and the Clip tab, giving me information on the currently focused clip that I have focused on or selected over here in the Arrange section. Looking downwards in my expanded channel strip that I have right here, I have access to my channel strip fader, allowing me to adjust the volume of that track. I also have access to the effects. Effects, of course, is where I can insert audio effects by making use of third-party plugins and VSTs. So if you're going to be adding effects, you'll do that from right there. And then looking right down here at the bottom, I have input and output settings, allowing me to change which audio input and output I'm using on that track. In the expanded channel strip, I have access to my master fader, which is right here. My master fader, of course, is going to just be the master output for my entire session, and I can make changes to the master fader as well as adding effects and making use of Pro channel on the master fader as well. Next, we'll take a look down here at the multi-dock part of Cakewalk. And when I say multi-dock, I mean that I can actually dock multiple different modules right down here in the bottom section of Cakewalk, and I'll show you what I mean by this. I'm going to click on the Views menu, and I can select the option right here for Console View, and then I can also add my piano roll. So now right down here in the multi-dock, I have the console view and I have the piano roll. And if I were to open a MIDI clip or an audio clip, I would be able to also double click on those clips and edit those right down here at the bottom. Right now I can also, of course, just make use of editing MIDI data by entering MIDI data here, or editing that MIDI data, and I have my piano roll at my fingertips, but I also have my console at my fingertips. My console, of course, is how I can mix my song. But I can close either of these and do away with them entirely. So the multi-dock is very flexible, and this is, again, something you're going to find with Cakewalk. There's a lot of flexibility, the ability to sort of make the software work the way that you want it to work, and this is something that I've always really enjoyed about Cakewalk software, is the ability to just kind of tune the software to my own needs. Finally, on the right-hand side, I have access to my browser, and my browser can be shrunk by clicking on the two arrows right here, or expanded. I can pull it out a little further if I want. This allows me to do things like browse plugins, media, and also access notes for the song that I'm currently working on. And I can jump back and forth between my types of plugins that I'm making use of as well, or I can hide that. I can also search if I wish to search as well, and hide that panel when I'm done making use of it. And that shows you the major sections that you can make use of inside of Cakewalk. So then, of course, the major question is, okay, well, how do I start getting going on recording? Well, first of all, it's important to always make sure that you are familiar with the Arrange section in the center part of Cakewalk. And Arrange, of course, is where you're going to be recording data, where you're going to edit that data. And then you're going to want to make use of the ruler. The ruler sits just above the Arrange section. The ruler tells us in time and in different forms of time where it is that I am currently working in musical time or in the time that I'm working with inside of my song. I can click in the ruler to move my transport locator around. I can also move my mouse just above the ruler, and I'll get access to the zoom function, where I can left click and drag down to zoom in, or left click and drag up to zoom out. So now if I wish to start recording, one of the most important things that I always mention everyone I work with is, first of all, name your audio track after the session that you're working with, such as session name, and then name it after the instrument that you're working on as well. And then you may want to append a date to that, but you don't necessarily have to do that. But the reason that this is very useful is because as you record, you'll be recording regions which will be named after what you have named that track after. That makes it a lot easier to be able to search for those pieces of audio should you ever lose track of them or anything else down the road. So I really like to name my tracks after what I'm recording on that track that I'm working with. Once you've done that, you can just simply engage the record option on that track, the record arm button. And then, as long as your audio interface is set up and you have a microphone plugged in or an instrument or anything else, you can hit record. And you'll have recorded some new data into a new region inside of Cakewalk. Now, what you heard there was just my click, and my click was being looped back into my audio interface, and that's just because of the type of audio interface that I'm using. But if I wanted to monitor that input, I would have engaged the input echo to allow me to hear the input of what I was recording. But you can do that off of your audio interface, or of course make use of whatever settings it is that you have with your specific audio interface. After that, I can start editing my audio. And again, if I make use of the Smart tool, the Smart tool will adjust itself depending on the location of where I'm working inside of my Arrange section. So again, all the way at the top, I have the zoom function. And then if I move down, I can do things such as set loops in my ruler. If I move down even further, my mouse will shift into the move function, allowing me to move my region around. If I move down even further, I have the bracket and the selection tool, which allows me to select. And then I can move back up and actually make use of the move tool again to select and move that piece that I've just clicked and create a new region with. And then if I were to, let's say, engage and make use of automation, my Smart tool again allows me to, when I view automation, to quickly and easily make use of the draw function inside of my Arrange section here in Cakewalk. And I'm drawing some new panning information. I can go back to my clips view. Now you can see after I've drawn that pan information, I can see it just kind of sitting just behind the waveform. So it's really easy to be able to see what it is that I'm working with. And then if I double click on that piece of audio that I've just recorded, again down here in the multi-dock, I will have the ability to make further edits to my audio and use loop construction for the recording that I have used and previously recorded here. And of course I can also open up all of my other views inside of my multi-dock and jump back and forth between them. And then of course I can rinse and repeat this for audio tracks, MIDI tracks, and other data that I'll be recording into Cakewalk. And then I can continue mixing my song and my project by making use of the console. And then I can mix down that audio. Probably the last most important thing that I should cover in this video is going to be how I can export audio from Cakewalk once I'm done and happy with my mix. Of course, I'll have recorded some audio, I'll have mixed it, I'll have added my effects, my plugins, and etc. I'll be happy with my mix. And then I can go ahead and first of all click on File, go down to Export, and select Audio. This will open the Export Audio dialog box, and this is where I can select where I want to save my audio, give it a name, select the file type that I want to export, WAV, MP3, and many other different formats. Then I can take a look at source category. Source category allows me to set what it is that I'm going to export from my song, entire mix, tracks, buses, hardware outputs, or clips. So there's a lot of different ways of exporting different pieces of the song that I'm working on. Select the channel format, the sample rate, the bit depth, dithering if I'd like to apply dithering. Some of you may want to apply dithering. That will depend on the audio interface you're using and also the bit depth that you're working at. I also have the option for different presets right here, which allows me to select the options that are available in the pull down, such as ignoring mute solo, buses, the entire mix with no effects, and etc. So this is a very cool feature. And then I can select the option for mix enables right here. I can also save different presets to make use of down the road as well. Once I've done all of that, I can simply click export and my audio mix down will be saved. And then that's it. Of course, I can go on, continue mixing, creating other songs, and etc. But you can see it's pretty straightforward to get up and running and recording inside of Cakewalk. There are a lot of features, obviously. This is a full-featured digital audio workstation with a lot of different features, but when you break it right down, it's pretty easy to get up and running and start recording. So for all you folks out there who are downloading the software new and getting used to it, I hope that this is really useful. If you have questions, comments, you want to get deeper into your digital audio production, you should give us a call at Obedia, and that's where you can work one-on-one with a professional digital audio trainer just like myself. We will show you how to use Cakewalk by BandLab and your pro audio hardware and software and how to tame your technology, because that is what we do best here at Obedia PC Audio Labs. Now, of course, we do have technicians who are on hand to help you to get to know your pro audio hardware and software, so just give us a ring. Or, of course, you can find us on your favorite social media network and you can start work with us there. But we'd love to talk with you on the phone and show you how you can make use of your hardware and software, so definitely give us a call. Watch for future videos, which we will be releasing here, and also for our members, our member-exclusive videos on Obedia.com. You can check out Obedia by going to Obedia.com and finding out about our subscription plans. And again, if you are looking for a pro audio PC to run Cakewalk by BandLab on, make sure to check out PC Audio Labs. And that's where we do build and configure the world's best pro audio production PCs that do work great with software such as Cakewalk by BandLab. So there you have it, guys. That's a look at how to get up and running real quickly with Cakewalk by BandLab. If you have questions, comments, get in touch in the comments on your favorite social media network, or of course, give us a call. As always, guys, I'm Brian with Obedia and PC Audio Labs. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, happy music making to you, and take care. Today's pro audio hardware and software can give you excellent results if you know how to use it properly. Obedia can help you to get the most out of your pro audio hardware and software. Why spend your time scouring the internet for answers or digging through manuals? With one quick call to an Obedia technician, you'll be connected with someone who can give you the answers that you need in real time via phone and remote desktop. Obedia technicians are trained in all major digital audio applications on Mac, PC, iOS, and Android devices. Obedia member subscriptions are cost-effective, give you great member benefits, and Obedia is here 7 days a week to help you get the most out of your digital audio hardware and software. No matter what your level of expertise, Obedia can help you to stay focused and productive and get your music back on track. Start taming your technology today with Obedia.